Can you hear muted?
I am done.
Katelynn, I'm trying. Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep.
That was awesome. Chewing on gum. All right, we're gonna wait just another minute here, make sure we've got all 25 in here, or at least close. My camera's terrible.
The worst angle, like gets my neck fat.
Jesus, Nikki. Okay. Close. Awesome. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce Katelynn for you guys. Katelynn and I met about 2.5, 3 years ago. I found her on a Soothe app that's a mobile massage service, and here in Nashville. And I booked her online. Not specifically, they just put you with a random person. You select, who you're comfortable with, and then they come to your house and they give you a massage. And I was about like the 3rd session in, and you and I were like, "Are we like becoming best friends?" Or so she's just been kind of like just rubbing my butt every week, once a week since. And I'm particularly miserable when she leaves town.
I know, it's a tragedy.
And also my butt hurts more when she's not here. But yeah, so she is an Enneagram expert. She's been doing Enneagram for how long?
Probably about the same amount of time.
Yeah. So when she came into my life, she like told me like immediately, she's like, "You need to take this Enneagram test. I think you're an 8."
Well, no, what I said was like, I'm pretty sure I didn't, because that's the number one rule. It's like, don't tell people what you think that they are, because it like, gets in their head. And they have like anyway, but I was like, you need to take this because I'm pretty sure you're the same one as me. And she's like, okay. I was like, yeah, I'm right.
And what's funny is I took it and I found out that I was an 8, and I told her, and she's like, "Yep, I'm an 8 too." And the 8 is the challenger.
Yeah.
And what's funny is after I did that, I looked back on something that really stood out to me, obviously my wedding vows, Oscar's wedding vows to me. And the entire wedding vows was about how I challenged him to be like better all the time, challenged him like through everything, was just like always challenging him to be uncomfortable and better in all like any way, shape, or form.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's just like he does not have it easy with me, that's for sure. But I, looking back on that, I'm like kind of like, wow, that's crazy how all that kind of like matches up. Are there any other 8s in here? Like, does anybody else feel me?
Nice.
You already know.
Yeah, we're on a different level for sure. 8s are like, we have our own planet.
Yeah.
And
it's a good planet.
And we rule it.
Really only if you get it.
Yeah. So Katelyn's gonna be able to explain. Let's start from our Enneagram and just kind of like
Well, does anyone not know what their number is or is unsure about it? Raise your hand.
Just as an 8, yeah.
Okay.
So everybody has their Enneagram number figured out? Cool. Right on.
I'm between like 2.
Yeah, so to basically start, I don't know what everyone's level of knowledge is, but you can break up the Enneagram in 3 groups. So our group, the 8 group, is the Instinctive Triad, where it's the 8, 9s, and 1s. So we experience our world through our instincts, our gut. And then there's the 2, 3, and 4s, which is the heart triad, the feeling triad, where they experience their world in their heart. Carrie, I see you smiling. And which is like anyway, I'll get to it anyway. And then there's the thinking triad, which is the 5, 6, and 7. And they experience their world in their head. So that's kind of like the breakdown of that, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and then there's also within your Enneagram number, there is healthy versions and unhealthy versions. And you'll go and you'll swap back and forth with these through different periods of your life, and you'll be able to really feel what they are. So
Okay, I'm spitting it out.
So I told her to spit it out at the beginning. That's what she gets. So there's the healthy versions and unhealthy versions, and you'll notice that you will pull some traits from both sides. And then as you grow and evolve, you're going to think that you're switching Enneagram numbers, but you're actually just becoming either the unhealthy version or the healthy version of that, or kind of crossing over.
Right. So that is like, that's why I'm obsessed with this, because there's so many dynamics about the Enneagram that doesn't put you in a box, because we all experience the things of each number. So it's like, oh, that is such an 8 thing. I'm like, no, it can be everybody's thing. It's just a matter of, like, for example, as an 8, when we're in our healthy growth stage, we go to a type 2. So we are helpful and we want to bring up the world around us, and we want to serve and protect, and, like, you know, in an unselfish way. While 2s, they do that in their most healthy stage, but they can also do that in an unhealthy stage. So it varies. And, like, you can go to in your
Who's a 2 here?
Carrie is.
Carrie. Yeah, no wonder we get along so well.
Oh, almost everyone is.
Yeah.
Blood for 2s.
Yeah. So, you guys probably know of Jackie. Many of you know of Jackie. She's a 2 for me. So she's like my little ride or die cartoon girl. She brings the childlike features out of me, because most of the time I'm very like professional and serious. And just over the last couple of years, Jackie has given me that space to bring out like my more childlike features and habits.
It's interesting that you say that, because that is exactly what the 2 in our healthy stage represents, is our inner childhood, our inner innocence. Because at some point as an 8, our innocence was stolen from us, you know, whether it was traumatic or we just experienced the world when we were a child that we had to survive and make our own way, and, like, we had to protect ourselves, and, like, you know, there's only us in this world. No, we can't rely on anyone. Like, there was something that, yeah. So that's why 2s are so healthy. 2s to have around us are really helpful in our growth. I mean, you can be around an unhealthy 2, but yeah, it's interesting that you say that. So, oh, and for 2s, a lot of 2s here, your crap, I forget what your health was. Sorry, 1 second.
Oh, you don't have your bubble gum to pair it down? Okay. Yeah. So we do have a lot of 2s and 8s in here, which is actually, it really makes a lot of sense. So there's probably a lot of 2s on the lifestyle team, and there's probably a lot of 8s on the competition team. Am I right?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy how that kind of works out? And then so the entire reason I decided to bring the lifestyle team and the competition team into the same place on Facebook is because I know how well 2s and 8s pair.
Very well.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I would die. I would take a bullet for the 2s in my life. Like, literally.
Because you normally wouldn't see, you know, like a business like doing that, putting both of their platforms in the same area, or both of their sides of their team in the same area. But honestly, we're here to like grow. So if I can create a higher ceiling for you guys to grow, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put you guys in the same room so you guys can share ideas, wins, learns, everything that you guys, you know, go through in life. It's going to have some sort of aspect in relation to that opposite Enneagram there. Well, the meshing Enneagram.
Yeah. Anyway, we could probably go into like a deep. Anyway, do you want to do questions?
We can, yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys want to hear like any what questions do you have if you're not a 2 or an 8?
Or if you are.
Okay.
I don't know. Anything.
Wait, I have a question.
Just make sure you unmute yourself. Go ahead, Gina.
Oh, well, I think that was Sam wanted to start first.
1 second, I can't hear you.
That's okay. You can go, Gina.
Sam wanted to. Are you sure, Sam? You can go first.
Oh,
Yeah, Gina.
Okay, so it looks like Rosada and I are between a 2 and a 4.
Oh, I'm so happy you said that, because you can often get confused with so I just talked about your when as a number, you can go to a different number when you're in your growth stage, you go to a different number when you're in a stressful progression stage. So 2s go to type 4 in their healthy stage. So you can often like be confused, like, well, I'm also that. Well, you are, but
Right.
your instinct, the temperament of who you are is a 2, but because you recognize the 4 qualities, That's a good sign. You're doing good in life. So yeah, did I interrupt you?
No.
Okay. Question.
Katelynn could talk to each and every one of you for hours about your Enneagram.
Yeah.
So we'll actually make sure that you guys, when we leave, make sure that we give you guys all the information that, for her to contact her later on, and you can rattle her brain with all that stuff too. Extra, even after this is over with.
Yeah. Okay. Who else? Somebody else had a question.
I did.
Okay. What's up?
Okay, so I am like 96% 1, but then 98% 3, and then 90% 2, which I thought was like, those are all very close.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I'm just like,
Red.
oh, okay.
Which one of those like mirrors, which one of those like represents, like, if you were to like to mirror or kind of change your healthy like version or unhealthy or healthy version of you when you're around a specific type?
Oh, like how it varies?
Yeah, like which one of those numbers
I
is most likely to, like, if you were to, like, if I was to walk into a pack of like wolves, I would change into a wolf. If I was to walk into a pack of sheep, I would change into a sheep.
So you said between 1, 2, and 3. That was your, okay.
1 and 3 are like, my 1 is 96%, but my 3 is 98%.
Okay, so since all of those are very close together, there's also the element of the wings in the Enneagram. So let's say you're a 2. There's different times, so this kind of answers your question.
Mhm.
So there's different situations in your life where you exude the qualities of the 1, because that's what you need in that situation to relate, to survive, to be accepted, or whatever your goal is. Or there's situations like a 3, for example. So 3s and 8s are really great in the workplace. So if you're a 2, being at work, you are so much of a 3 because they are pursuers. They're, not challengers, I don't know why I said that, but they go after their goals. So I would recommend you really dive into each of those numbers and just really read it, because it'll all sound very, yes, that's me, but you'll read a number and you'll be like, oh my God, you're literally reading my brain. So you're like, yeah, I feel like a 1, yeah, that feels right. Or I feel like a 3, but then you read the 2 and it's like, oh shit, they wrote this about my brain. So yeah, that's what I would recommend.
Thanks.
Yeah, any other questions?
I have a question about like 2s and 8s, but I don't know if we're gonna get more into 2s and 8s.
That's okay. What is
So
it?
I can hold it.
No, go ahead.
So I'm a 2. I'm on the lifestyle team. I guess, like, and Casey, you said like a lot of like the competition team members are 8s, and like that you thought that was really interesting, and that's why you put us together. What do you think as a 2? Like, well, for everybody that's a 2, like, what's like the biggest thing that we could learn from an 8? Because I do really love that we're all together in one group. So like, what do you think is like the biggest takeaway that the 2 people could take from the 8 people? I guess, and vice versa is probably good.
So setting boundaries for yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Because 2s, when they're in disintegration, like they're stressed, just because that doesn't always mean negative things. So 2s, when they're in disintegration or in stress, they go to type 8. So there is a point when a 2, like, you cross their line eventually and you're like, there's no going back. So learning from 8s is exactly right. Is like learning how to set boundaries, how to say no. And like, I've been around 2s where they are very stressed out by me. Because like that is, I am the personality that they are when they are the most stressed out, which sounds really bad, but you can learn a lot from.
Yeah.
You can learn a lot. So I was in a relationship for 4 years with the person who was my stress, which is a type 5 for 8s. And I constantly thought I was stressing him out. I was like, did I make you upset? He's like, no. I'm like, oh, you're just acting how I act when I'm like the most stressed out in my life. So, but I learned a lot about myself because of that, and recognizing when I become, so 8s become a recluse, and like we gather our information and we need to shut the world around us when we're in that state. So I know exactly what I'm entering into that. And so it's the same thing for 2s. When you're becoming very boundaried and you start saying no more, then, just because you're stressed out isn't bad. So it's like you can learn healthy qualities of the 8, because that is a healthy quality for a 2 to have. It's just you only get there in bad places. Does that make sense? So yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I think another good example, like, so Rosetta has had so much like tremendous growth, like in just the amount of time that I've known her, and we haven't known each other that long, about 1.5 years now, right, Rosetta? So, and we immediately started working together, and just over the course of COVID, like her boundaries, her set boundaries, I can already tell have just changed. Like she's really looking out for herself now. She wants to be able to keep herself healthy and happy and provide for her family, and then also accomplish her goals. And that takes a lot of like healthy versions of compartmentalizing and setting boundaries for yourself and for your family and things like that, and just setting standards in order to make your world make sense and have it just be the most optimal place for everyone to be. You've done such a good job with that over the last year, Rosetta. Like,
You're gonna make everyone cry.
yeah, well, I mean, she's been like, her year last year was absolutely insane. She went through a lot. So but yeah, it was really cool to like watch that transformation. As an 8, I was like, damn, like this girl like is really like pushing, like she's pushing like the most healthiest version of herself I've ever seen in a 2 ever.
Aww. Wow, who's next?
Well, I'm reading from this psychic over here.
Anyway, but yeah, any other questions? Like answer or ask away or just anything.
Who's on something in between? Daly, what are you?
She's a 2.
2, right?
Yeah, I'm between the 2 and the 3.
I was gonna say she's not full 2, because she's got like, she actually has like some 8 qualities, I think.
Well, that's the thing. You're touching on it all. So
Right.
like, she has the 8-bit in like your everyday personality, and the same with the 3. So you experience probably, daily works a lot. So she probably experiences a lot of, her world is a 3 right now because it's work, and 3s and 8s dominate the workforce. So as a 2, if that's where you need to go, if that's your wing that you need to go to in order to succeed and be successful and achieve, then that's what you'll do. And that'll be a lot of what the lens of your life will look like, even though it may not be like your core type. So there was actually a coworker of mine where I was like, Michael, I think you're a 3, but I could be really wrong. And turns out I wasn't wrong or right. He was actually a 2, but I was experiencing him as a 3 because I only knew him at work. So does that make sense?
So I have a question. Do you mainly go off of like the experience, like the interaction between 2 individuals in different numbers? Is that always constantly the exchange, or is it more situational, right? Like, okay, we're in the workplace, so we have our like workplace hats on, versus like I'm, chatting with Casey and we like the 8 and then the 2-3 interaction. So whenever you're kind of looking at that, do you kind of go off of like the people that are involved or the actual like environment?
You mean like going to different numbers as yourself? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think it's both. Like, it's definitely situational. So like at work, you're definitely going to do what it takes to succeed, while also being, having the best qualities of who you are as a 2, which is what also makes you successful, because you're really, really good with people and you can relate and you feel it here. Well, that's the best things about 2. That's why I could like cry all day thinking about it too, is because
She literally says she's gonna cry all day too, always, every day.
Because 2s really help 8s and everyone in general bring out that inner healthy vulnerability. So that's a great thing about healthy 2s. And so anyway, to answer your question, yeah, it's definitely situational where, you flip flop. Like my dominant wing type is a type 9. So it's like the most like level-headed 8 out there. You're welcome. But there's also the 7-bit of me where even though you're jumping triads, like the thinking, the heart, and the gut, it's all healthy to have that around us. Like we need that. We need every type in our lives. And yeah, so yeah, you flip flop, it's situational, and it's really interesting the more you learn about yourself. And like, I know the majority of my life is I'm a type 9 wing, like the wing bit, like I have a lot of those qualities in my everyday life. But when I'm on vacation, you can't stop me. Like that's where that 7 wing comes out, because it's like, let's go do everything. I want to experience the world. Like I don't want to miss out on anything.
It turns into like an actual cartoon.
Or not even vacation, just like when we're going on, like let's do everything.
So every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah, Monday through Wednesday.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Lindsay, what are you?
Hi, I was late because I turned my computer on and then it shut off on me. So I missed the whole intro, but I'm a 99% 8. And then I had like 2 or 3, I'm looking at my results. I was like 85% for a 3 and a 1, but mostly 8.
Yeah, that makes sense with what we were just talking about.
So we don't have any like 5 or 6s in here?
No.
Oh.
No, and I knew there wouldn't be, honestly.
Because they don't show the fuck up, right?
Yeah. Well, they're just like, so like 5s are like they're the introverts of the Enneagram. So it's like they're like the true, any type can be an introvert, extrovert, but like 5s are definitely like, I'm surprised if I ever find an outgoing 5, like a true extroverted 5. Like
Like you'll never see Oscar on a Zoom meeting like this.
he's the 6, right? Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's like a 5 out of 6.
I think we nailed him as a 6.
Oscar is very hard to nail down, and he won't take the Enneagram test.
Well, we talked about that one.
He doesn't want us to analyze him.
Which is exactly what the 5s and 6s would exactly. I was like, okay, because of your resistance, I can nail it down pretty quickly.
Like Shona, you know Oscar pretty well.
Wait, who's?
Shona's right
Oh,
here.
okay.
Yeah, she knows Oscar pretty well. So like, unless she disappeared. Oh, there she is. Is she talking? I don't know. Oh, you said to unmute.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I had to unmute. Am I unmuted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
absolutely.
well. He's like a clown.
And I wonder, like, and when thinking about this and thinking about relationships, you start to wonder what other people are. And then I guess really my question is, knowing that I'm a 2-3 and you're interacting with people, and it's funny, as this Enneagram started coming up over the last couple of years, when I was meeting people, they would go, they come out and they say, oh, I think you're an 8, or I think you're a 3. When at first, when I didn't really realize, the education behind it and how people maybe want to interact with you differently, or does it shift the way you want to treat people differently, knowing what they are and what I am, or,
A good question. So when I discovered, I talked about this in my little intro video. When I discovered the Enneagram, I thought, like, I was just so frustrated that I constantly had to change and suppress who I was in order for people to be okay around me. And I was like, why am I the only one who has to do that? This is so unfair. I just want to be myself. And like the minute I was like, I felt comfortable and to be myself, somebody was confronting me and being like, Katelynn, we need to talk about your behavior. Like, fuck, what did I do? Like, and so when I discovered this, it was like, oh, okay, it is all right to be who I am, but I can channel it in healthier ways. So,
And then too, you don't want to attract people that you just can't be your natural self around either.
yeah. Got it.
That's probably from last night.
But yeah, so that's why I'm obsessed with it, and like being able to kind of like understand who or what somebody's number is. It's like, okay, so when I'm around a 2, like I can definitely still be my full self, but it depends on the situation, but they have helped me learn how to be more soft and healthier in more vulnerable ways. So like if there's somebody that I fed the most, it's going to be a type 2 type 2 or 4. 4s are very, 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 very sensitive people. And so I know my roommate is a type 4. And so like, I know how to navigate our relationship because of that. And like, I know that I need to, with sensitive types, for this as an example, I know I need to be I need to draw back a little and be more sensitive and thoughtful and ask more questions rather than, because I'm a bulldozer. I bulldoze conversations and personalities, and I'm just being myself and having fun and thinking everyone loves me.
Well, so another good example is like my friend Jackie and I, she's a 2.
Yeah.
And she's a really big people pleaser. Like if you ask her to do something, she'll do it. So me as an 8, like I need to watch how I speak to her just a little bit and how I act around her, because I know that she will go to world's end to do anything for me to make sure that I'm always her friend, when I already know that I'm always going to be her friend no matter what. So I just watch the way, I just try to make sure that I am speaking to her and treating her in a way that I'm not taking advantage of her because she's a 2. So I just try to watch, I try to just kind of like.
That's a good example.
Yeah, it is, because she's, she is a people pleaser, and she has the best heart in the entire world, and she just has a hard time setting boundaries, and she's getting way better with it, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Like in growing her business, so she's starting to be able to understand how to set boundaries for herself, which is really nice. But I mean, for me it is, because I'm like, in my head I'm like high-fiving like myself, like I feel like I was a part of that. But yeah, I think being able to kind of adjust a little bit is good, but you don't have to change yourself. You just have to kind of watch how you speak to.
Right. It's just channeling it in ways. And you brought up a good point that I was going to mention. Oh, so no matter what type you are, it's like understanding the motivation of why you're doing what you're doing. So a lot of an 8's motivations is to control and to protect, whether it's you or just myself, depending on the level of development. So understanding, how we could potentially take advantage of people like that is a very good thing. Like, why am I asking her to do this? Because I know she'll say yes, or, and so it's like, you need to, so in that example, if you want to ask Jackie to do something for you or a favor or something like that, you need to give them an out. Like, it's okay if, you know what I mean? Like, don't put them in a corner to make them say yes, because that's so easy to do.
Yeah.
We're master manipulators, us. As 8s. And so no matter what type you are, it's very, very healthy to understand like navigating those types of situations. Like, why am I asking them to do this? Why am I doing this? So like for a type 2, for example, there's a lot of 2s here. Why am I agreeing to do this thing for this person? Is it because you just need to understand, like, why am I agreeing to this? Is it because?
But not every 2 is like this. This is like the unhealthy version of it.
So 2s, for example, they need to be valued and feel that they are of value with the people around them. So they will, go to the ends of the earth to help and to serve others. And that can be honestly selfish. You can do that in a selfish way, because it's like, I'm doing this for my selfish reasons, so I feel valuable to you. So is it a selfish way, or is it like, because sure, it's honestly not a problem. It's not inconveniencing me. And so it's important to like understand those bits about you. Like, why am I agreeing to this? Why am I doing this to this person? And just asking yourself why constantly. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I noticed that about Daily. I think that's why we just work so well together. Like literally every piece of the puzzle, like just absolutely perfectly fits, because like we both have set boundaries for one another. We both respect one another, and we both have like the same vision in mind. So like that helps a lot too.
Yeah.
She's a very, very healthy version of it too.
Good.
Love it.
Anyway, what else?
I keep hearing people compliments and you say anyway. I don't do this often.
I'm just like, whatever. Yeah, a compliment from that's what I love about me.
Okay. That's very 8 of you.
Yeah, is that like when we talk like that, it's like people need to understand that like that is like gold. That like you're pooping like gold eggs right there. Because like we love to bring up the people around us and the world around us, because that's what we want to do for others, and that's a healthy thing for us to do. And so like it's just so helpful to like know these things about our friends and the people we work with or interact with on a day-to-day basis, because it's like, especially like spouses are a great example. Like, knowing Oscar's a 6, you might be in an argument and be like, why are you doing this? And then you stop and think. If you like stop and an argument is a good example. Like if you just like stop and think like, oh, they're acting like this because of their basic fear as a 6. right? Or, I'm acting like this because of, I just want to protect myself. So like, that's what I'm going to do in the argument. I'm going to defend myself. So like
for no reason.
yeah. And it's like, it's okay to like reel it back, be like, why am I doing this? Like, is this necessary? Is this helpful in this? Is this behavior helpful in this argument or not?
I've
Usually not.
literally been in the middle of arguments with Oscar, and I will just literally just go, shut my mouth and walk away. Like I'll be literally like saying something and I'll just shut up and I'll walk away, and he'll just like keep talking and I'm out. Because I realize like how like crazy I sound.
Well, yeah, okay.
I mean, my feelings are obviously justified, but I'm like, what are you doing right now? He's in the shower trying to, you can't save this for another time.
Oh, he just walked me
He's like,
like,
I'm really sorry. Oh God.
anyway, what else?
Well, so the reason that I wanted to bring Team Casey together to do this, as many of you as I could, let's get Brittany in here 1 second. To bring you guys in here is because, your coaches are here, and, we're all a team. And I think it's really important that like, if we are really trying to like transform your lives and make a big impact, especially if it's other things outside, not only including physical changes, it's really good to know your Enneagram numbers, because then we can really help you navigate your emotions, your hurdles, and
it's an accelerated thing. Like,
and know what to celebrate with you, when to celebrate, and things like that. It's all genuine, authentic action, but we just want to be able to do it in the right way. So bringing you guys together and doing this Enneagram talk is super beneficial for everybody.
yeah.
Cheaters. Who's the expert?
What?
Who's the expert? You're rubbing off on me.
What are you talking about?
Your Enneagram.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting really good at it.
Yeah, because
Yeah. You
Anyway.
That's what happens.
what else do we want to talk about? What else? What other? Go ahead.
I am a 9. Do you have any advice for somebody who's a 9 in this, type of setting?
Oh, 100%. So 9s are known as the sloths. So you have a hard time, 9s have a hard time gaining traction, right? Because you care about the comfort of your world, and it's very hard to break out of your comfort zone. Like it is for everyone, but as a 9, like that's your world, because you battle the inner conflicts and outer conflicts, while 8s only battle the outer conflicts. We're okay within here, our brain, like whatever.
It's always chaos regardless.
Yeah. But 9s, 6s, and 3s all have that same problem where you're battling your inner world and your outer world. So,
and knowing that, you'll be able to equip yourself better to fight that resistance there.
So because of that, as a 9, you just need to stop. You like to sleep probably a lot. You're a good napper, huh?
Oh, I can take a good nap, but I have 5 kids, so I haven't slept in years, if we're being honest.
That inner and outer conflict, you just want to escape the world. So napping is kind of a common thing that 9s do to escape, and you just sloth along because you just don't know what to do. You want to please, and you integrate into the world around you a lot. So like so 9s have a hard time knowing who they are as a person, because if I'm a 9 and I'm in a relationship with you, I'm going to be like, you're my world, you're everything. I'm going to be like you, because it's easier to kind of morph into somebody else.
Which probably says why you have 5 children, because they're all images of you.
You have 5 kids.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So as a 9, like the advice would
people
be,
you can relate to more.
Yeah, the advice would be to constantly ask yourself, like, what do I want? Because you're a peacemaker. You constantly want peace. You will do whatever it takes just to have peace in your world. So there's lots of advice for any type, but one thing would be to stop and ask what you actually want. And it's not selfish. It's okay. It's not inconveniencing anybody or anything. It's okay to be like, no, I actually want this. Or sometimes you honestly don't even know what you want. And so
Yes.
yeah, so those are questions that you ask yourself. It's like, what do I want? What do I actually need? And like in a relationship argument situation, it's like, I think one of my brothers is a 9, and it's so funny when I heard him in an argument with his wife, and he was like standing his ground for a minute, and she would not stop. And then so he's like, "Oh, it's okay. It's my fault. It's my fault."
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's okay to like, it's okay to be selfish in a healthy way. So that would be, I could keep talking, but I love 9s.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say I did one competition last year, and that was the first time, in my adult life that I've been like, nope, I'm going to do something for myself.
That's amazing, because this world is a very selfish, like competing it's a selfish thing. It is,
Yeah.
but that's not negative. So good for you.
Right. And also, making this investment too for Team Casey, but it's not only like finances, but it's time too. And that's also taking a leap and getting out of your comfort zone too. So you're going to see a lot of growth in that as long as you take it for all it's worth. And as far as I can see, you're here. So you really are. That's awesome.
5 kids.
Yeah. They're floating around there somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, what else?
Anybody else got any more questions?
I want to add to the 9 thing. So I had 2, 4, and then I had 9. So the 9 was like the third tier, I guess. And I've been extremely conflicted. And I'm like, oh my God, I was literally thinking before you mentioned about what a 9 was, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, man, I feel like very emotionally conflicted. My husband has a lot of emotional stuff happening at work, and I'm a 2. So what do? I listen. I'm there for him emotionally. Like no one else in his life would ever like sit and listen to what he's saying over and over every single day. And I get emotionally drained because I'm a very like, the heart person and everything.
Yeah.
And I've been very conflicted because I can't, my biggest concern, my biggest stuff right now is like, consistency. I'm just inconsistent. And when I get emotionally drained is when I do that 9 stuff, is when I kind of step back, shut down.
Well, that's not necessarily the 9 stuff. So, yeah, it makes sense, but you're going into your stress state. So that would be an 8. Right. So you set boundaries, you shut down, be like, no, honey, shut up. I need to go in the other room and like regain my, your energy.
In different words.
Yeah. So you have to set those boundaries for yourself because like, oh my gosh, it's his problems, are stressing me out and I need to regroup. And so that's, a very 8 thing to do is to go away.
Well, it's funny because I think he is an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like just talking here, I think he is an 8, which is crazy because he got an astrology reading, and they said that him and I, we balance each other extremely well. And I mean, this is a little trippy, but she said that we were siblings in another life, and we get together, we get along extremely well. And I'm like his like rock kind of thing with everything he's had to deal with. And I'm like, oh my God, that totally makes sense, which I enjoy that, but I, it's funny because sometimes I'll exercise and I'm like I feel guilty. I'm like, man, I shouldn't be doing it at this time. I feel guilty. Like, should I finish my reps? Like I have that in my head, and then I feel like selfish doing things, but I need that selfish time in order to fill my cup kind of thing.
Absolutely. And that's very for a 2 to do.
Right?
Yeah.
Mode.
Yeah. That's very healthy for a 2 to do. It's like, it's okay to, I don't want to say this in a weird way, but like, it's okay to feel guilty and just let that guilt pass. Like,
right.
Actually truly being selfish right now? Probably not, so.
Right. I'm like pouring everything into everyone else. And then the 1 hour, I shouldn't feel guilty about that 1 hour kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it comes down to too, like, the more he understands that you are always open to like listening to his problems or daily dilemmas, like maybe he won't take so much of a big advantage on that. Cause I'm sure that there's some battles that you can pick to talk about. And there's some that like, you don't need that extra stress in your life, if it really doesn't have.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like broken records sometimes. Like if he's constantly thinking about the same thing, he'll bring it up again about an employee that he has or whatever. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm hearing the same thing over and over again.
Like, so
Yeah.
Just like a Band-Aid once in a while, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, there's a lot of twos here, like we know, and that's very good thing about twos is that, and I have to watch that with the ones in my life where it's just like, I just need to just word vomit onto somebody about my problems. I call it two, or now Casey, because like but the twos, like they're the ones who I want to go to because like they can hear what I'm saying and put an emotion to it and be like, oh yeah, you're right. Because all we feel is we're just angry.
Mm-hmm. So I need to find a two to dump for myself then, right?
Yeah. Or get another 8 as backup.
A healthy one.
Maybe one of my kids as they're growing up, because they're 7, so they're young, but maybe one of them, I think one of them is probably an 8 and the other one's like me, like a 2, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see.
No, that's funny. Yeah, put them on the front line, see what happens.
So eights are very easy to identify in the world. 8s and 7s and 2s, I believe, and 5s. But anyway, they're really easy to identify in the world because we're very just big people and we take up the space in the room effortlessly without even trying. But a big thing for 8s to understand is like, and this is the journey that I was on for several years, is that in understanding my vulnerability, that in a situation that it made me emotional, I just felt angry. That's the first emotion that comes up, right? As an 8, I'm just angry, and that's all I want to feel. And like
a healthy side takes things personally and allows ego to take place.
Right. So for the 8s in this group, like it's to understand, like in an emotionally charged situation, it's okay to feel that. Let the anger rise. Let it feel it first. It's fine. And like take a step, take a minute and be like, okay, what am I actually feeling? Am I hurt? Am I offended? Am I frustrated? What's the real emotion behind it? So that, touching on that.
8s use fear as their main driver of motivation.
Yeah. Fear of
failure,
losing control, and somebody being controlled. Like I need to control the world around me. No, I'm like, and that's the thing. It's just like, no matter what type you are, you don't want to be controlled, but that's the lens in which we have in our life, is that this is the viewpoint of my life, is I don't want to be controlled. No one wants to be controlled, but that is why I'm acting like this, because I don't want this to happen to me.
Because we grow, 8s usually have, like she said, that traumatic experience growing up where we had to self-preserve for ourselves, fight for everything that we had, and things like that, just build our lives for ourselves. Like whether you're like an only child or or like your brothers and sisters, just couldn't keep up and you felt like you had to be a role model or whatever it is. Like,
yeah,
you just had to grow up faster and be more responsible, quicker.
That's the thing. So for the 8s in this group, since we're talking about it, they talk about the childhood pattern of, I don't know how to explain it. So for the childhood pattern of the 8, you experience, there was something in your life that happened where like, oh, I need to protect myself. I need to grow up fast. And usually that is a traumatic experience. However, I didn't have that. I had an amazing childhood. I didn't have anything traumatic. I mean, we had family problems, but like I had an amazing childhood, but I had 3 older brothers that wouldn't stop. So it was like, I did experience that world of just men where I needed to protect myself and like get up to their level and like be tough and be, I can take care of myself just like you, So, looking at the childhood patterns, like that's really important to understand like your past. So I encourage everyone to like look into what that would be for your type. And, it helps if there's something in your life that you haven't overcome yet. Maybe it was a traumatic experience, and understanding, why you are the way you are,
So, and then like for if you're an 8 and you're a really like gung-ho, like deep to the core 8, you will benefit a lot from therapy. I feel like if you were born an 8, like you need therapy in your life. So I'm serious, like my life completely changed when I started doing therapy, because I realized how much traumatic, things that happened to me when I was a child that I didn't really think were traumatic until I started doing therapy. And I'm like, wow, like all these things really do rise into my adult life and affect the way that I build relationships or don't build relationships, or the way I work and things like that. And understanding yourself better not only do you start allowing those people that you actually want to build relationships in your life and keeping the other people out, and then also you realize that like the people that are in your circle, you will do anything for. And that also rides over into your work. Like if you built that, if you're like really passionate about your work, you will do anything to see it, like see everybody inside of it succeed. Yeah, that's just how, I mean.
It was so easy to pin you as an 8, like just knowing your work. And I was like, oh, she hustles. She's an 8. Anyway, but yeah, what else?
It's fun to change the world, bro.
Yeah. Anyway, what else do we want to talk about?
Brittany, you're an 8, aren't you?
Where are we looking?
Yeah.
Oh.
Tanabe?
No, I took it twice though, but I got a 4 and a 7.
Oh, okay. I thought you posted 8 on your Instagram at one point.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
A 4 and a 7. Yeah. Did you read? So you don't know which one?
I always like to take those kinds of tests twice, like in a row, and then read the answers both.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see both of them. I can picture myself as both, but I'm very in tune with like my emotions, I think. And then the other one, 7, was more like I like to be adventurous and like never bored and that kind of thing. And I think that's true. Yesterday, I tried to rest all day and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So funny. I keep, this is personal, but I know a lot of 4s in my life and all they want to be is a 7. I don't know what it is about that. One of them, her husband, she's like, I'm gonna marry him. I was like, you don't have to, but he's a 7. Like, and so to understand, so we go to understand like which one you really are. You go back to the motivations and the lens in which we keep shifting. You're over here.
Yeah.
What was I saying? To understand, how you view the world. So the 4 is the individualist. They constantly feel set apart, and I don't know what I feel, and I'm just always in emotional peril. And does that sound familiar?
I don't think I'm often in emotional peril, no.
I mean, like in a negative way. It's just
Yeah, not a negative way. It can be like, it's just like an overabundance of like energy that you need to expel, like anything like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. My roommate's a 4, so like I'm around it a lot, and she's constantly questioning herself. And she, just as an example, she's like, oh, this is the thing that will make me feel accepted in the world around me. I need to do this. I need to do that. And like, so you're always searching. That's why probably you relate to the 7, because you're constantly searching for something that will make your world right. So but if you're a 7, you use experiences to avoid emotions, to avoid the world around you, basically, because you're a thinker. You just like, oh, I don't want to feel that. Let's just go on a trip. Let's go to the store. Let's do. You're constantly doing and going. You don't want to miss out on anything. And so, yeah, so it's important to understand, like, okay, why am I constantly changing up experiences? Is it because I just want to feel accepted in my world, or what am I avoiding? That makes sense. So those are questions you have to ask yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I can see it from both things. Because since I feel like I am very in tune with my emotions, I do feel like I need to go through the processes of feeling all those emotions as like just to grow as a person. But I also feel like there's like a sense of wasting time. Like I need to experience other things. And so I can't sit there for very long in my emotions.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
I got really stoned last night, and this is what I was talking to Josh about. I was like, I'm 31. I already did 31 years of stuff. I have to do more things. I did 31 years of stuff.
I did. Is that all you came to a conclusion to?
It was a 1-hour conversation.
I did 31 years.
I was like over the fire last night, like pointing my finger and like going like this and like reaching for the sky. It was a very theatrical event.
Oh my God. No, anyway. Yeah, I would encourage you to really dive into both of the types. And I think you joined late. So I said earlier that, when you are researching and you're not quite 100% positive, when you start reading one, you don't want to read just like a little bitty paragraph. You want to deep dive into it. And when you start researching it, there'll be one that'll be like, oh shit, you're reading my brain. Like, who wrote this? Who are you? Because you'll feel like you're reading your life on paper. So that is what helped me. Because when I took the test, I scored the same score in 3 different numbers. I can't remember what they were. And the person who coached me, she's like, well, just start reading about it. And I was like 8, all right. Because it said the challenger. I'm like, that definitely sounds like me. And when I started reading it, I was like, oh my God, my life is on paper.
It's scary.
It's freaky.
You thought like horoscopes were like on point.
I remember when you, when I was getting you to take it, you were really hesitant because you're like, I don't, because it was like,
I remember.
You felt exposed.
Yeah.
Like reading that, but it was a growth point for you to like read it and be like, it's okay to be exposed and vulnerable on paper, even though they're not talking about you.
Like they literally could give a shit. Like it's not. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It was literally definitely a mental battle for me for sure. I remember.
Look how far you've come.
Wow. I really do love the Enneagram though. Like I learned something about myself every day because I know more about like my habits, the way I react to things or don't react to things, or like when I used to get stressed out, I used to isolate myself like a lot. And now I know that that's a common trait for an 8.
Yeah.
So I purposely was like, if I started to go isolate myself and like turn everything off, I automatically tell myself, I go, no, don't do that. Like you have to keep yourself in this uncomfortable position or you're not going to freaking grow. You need to just like, you can turn this into a healthy method.
Exactly. That's what I was going to bring up. So like, it's okay to self-isolate, but you need to, why are you doing that? Are you doing it to avoid, which is usually our theme, but okay, let's shut down for a minute and like sit in what's going wrong here rather than avoiding.
So if it's a pattern, it's something you need to break. If it's something more deeper and it's not as frequent, odds are you probably do need a little bit of time for yourself.
Yeah.
But if it's a pattern, then you have to kind of like think about it like, okay, what is this pattern and why do I do it? And if I can get out of it, what do I get from it? Is there something positive that comes from it if I can break this pattern? Because I feel like we are very like pattern type of people, aren't we?
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like I am. Like okay, so like here's a good like vulnerability point for me. Like every single year without change, for the last 5 years of my life, I get incredibly depressed for about 2 weeks in December and going into January. And I noticed that, like the first 2 years that was happening, and I would isolate myself. I would have panic attacks. I would throw myself on the floor and cry and kick and scream and would go through all these different emotions and just playing victim and eating myself alive, no matter how awesome my life was. And it just continues to get more awesome. So this is probably helpful to know. But I started realizing that pattern would happen to me right around my birthday every year. So I would feel like that through Christmas, and I would feel like that, through New Year's and everything, the most, joyous time of the year when you're trying to like have a good time. And it would happen to me where I would like shut down. So not only did I realize like I just hated the holidays like growing up because I was being distributed from house to house, never really feeling like I had a home, and so I brought that trauma with me into my adult life. And I would get depressed around the holidays just automatically because my brain was just so in tune with doing that.
That was gonna be my question, like what happened around the holidays when you were growing up?
Yeah, I just got tossed around all day long from like 4 different houses just to open up presents and then leave. Like it was never like an awesome like event for me. So I carried that into my adult like life. And then once I realized that, and I put those pieces together and I realized that was a pattern for me every single year, I was able to combat it. And this year I didn't feel it at all. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I literally not even one little feeling of depression this year. So if you kind of figure out those patterns and, and you can just kind of like break them down and take them back, to your childhood and kind of see, like, kind of like just measure things up, especially if you're an 8. Like we we tend to think that like we can teach ourselves and we can do things ourselves, like 100%. We don't need help from anyone, but like, first of all, you can help yourself by like finding like help, you know, like whether it's a coach or a therapist or whatever it is, or just like diving deep, because like you're so fucking important. And sometimes we fucking forget that because we're so busy. So take the time to like just take a step back and like think about these things. And if you have these like unhealthy patterns, usually there's like a little riddle that you can solve and try to fix it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great point.
Yeah, thank you. So, like, but again, like the point of me bringing you guys here is so that also you can understand me a little bit more as a coach, especially my athletes. Like you guys cannot understand like how my brain works, and when I speak to you, it's from a really like a good place in my heart always.
Yeah, that's important. An important point, you know, as a leader and people under you, we can unintentionally be very condescending and like hurtful. And we don't even know it, but we're doing it to like raise you up and challenge you because you got it. I believe in you. But what somebody else is experiencing is like, oh, she didn't make me like, oh my God, she hates me. Oh no. So it's important. Like,
I don't actually hate anyone.
Yeah. So like, well, that's a good example. I'm trying to think. So, you know, if you felt offended or, you know, if she's doing something that makes you uncomfortable, then it's like, oh, it's coming from a good place. She doesn't hate me. She's not going to fire me or something like that. Like, yeah, it's very helpful in this kind of world to understand like, oh, she's acting like this. I don't need to feel this thing because I know her and I know the motivation behind why she's doing what she's doing. And she's not trying to be hurtful. I might feel hurt and that's okay. Feel your emotions, but just understand like, oh, it probably wasn't that way.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's one of those things like I am very, I'm always like, life is too short. We don't have like a lot of time. Like, and especially like if you guys have timelines that you want to accomplish your goals in, I'm like, this is how it is. Let's do it this way.
Oh, she's serious.
Yeah. You know, like I just want you guys to know everything is always coming from a good place in my heart, and literally all I want to do is see you guys succeed, like more than myself. So
yeah. Aww.
See, she's literally said that like 7 times this whole entire Zoom.
I wouldn't have said that like 5 years ago. I'd be like,
haven't cried yet.
That's how I feel.
But what did Jess say?
Amazing. No.
Nope. My only emotions are extreme happiness or extreme anger. There's no between. Yes.
100%.
Jess is either like the angel or she sees red.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, what else?
Erin Donato, what's your Enneagram?
I was 90% 1. And I felt like I hit on a 1 pretty spot on, especially like some of the unhealthy traits.
Okay.
I guess I would more so call it like the fixer. Sometimes I try and like project things that I want to see or things that I don't see going perfectly in other people's lives, and I try and fix it. And I think that sometimes becomes an issue in my life, but I think all the other traits for a 1 were pretty spot on for me.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised you're in this group of people because 1s are known as the perfectionists. So they will work very hard to do everything perfectly. And that's, like I said, like that's the lens in which you see the world. It's like, this has to be done perfectly.
Oh, Megan's, I want to.
Where's that face?
Megan's right here.
Oh, okay. I thought she started nodding. I was like, she must be another one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the lens in which you see the world, is like everything needs to be perfect. And they're talking about childhood patterns. There was something in your life where that you put that lens on. It was like, oh, this is how I need to survive, is be perfect and do everything right. And it's always my way. So
yeah. And that's really hard for me to like even delegate things and have people do it their own way if I need help. I like things done my way.
Yeah, and that a growth point for a 1 is to understand like let's example doing the dishes, right? Loading the dishwasher. The dishes are going to get clean no matter how they're put in there, right? That's always my point. And I think there's somebody in my life that was a 1 at one point, because it was like, do you want this done or not? Like, no, it needs to be done this way. I'm like, but the same result's gonna happen. Like, why is it not? So it's important, like, and it, you know, 1s do have like a lot of anxiety around that. So it's important to like step back when you feel that it needs to be done this way. Be like, well, what's the end result? What really matters here? And like in this world, are you lifestyle or competition?
Lifestyle.
Okay, so you'd probably, you'd be really good at competition because you drive forward, and like you as an expert, you'd be like, oh, this is the way I need to do it. Yes, and you would do it perfectly. You would kill it, So it's very good in a workplace. You're really good with like processes and systems and things like that, and you
Being organized.
find mistakes like, no, you should do it this way, and you're often right because that is how you see the world. Is
I'm definitely like a rule follower. I like to follow like hierarchies. Daily has definitely helped me see bigger picture of things, because at times I was so focused on like the scale, and I wouldn't even celebrate if I could bench 10 more pounds from the week before, I could deadlift X amount more pounds. And she's like, no, it's not just about the one thing. You have to look at big picture and not like data driven answers.
Exactly. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's a great growth point for ones, is to learn to kick your feet back and relax.
Yeah.
Small victories add up to the big one.
Yeah.
And I like, the thing is too, like, cause there's, you've heard of proven systems, and you have systems that you've proven of your own time and time again. So it's really hard to like be able to actually even find someone that you can click with enough that like can get in there and help you kind of break those formulations up a little bit and show you that like there's other ways to get to this end result. That's what lifestyle is all about. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And so a growth point for ones is to have more healthy sevens in your life, because they're the adventurers. They're the ones who can be like, it doesn't matter, let's go have fun.
Are they also the ones you get in trouble with, or no?
Probably. or you're good to be around the 7 too, because you can help reel it in and be like, that's probably not a good idea. Like, let's not do all these drugs or something. I don't know.
Don't you dare say that.
Anyway, no, that's cool. That's cool. There's it. Never mind. Cool. What else?
Who else do we have here?
Did somebody just join?
Zoe.
So I got like 99% 4 and like 98% 1. Which
that's interesting because the stress point for a 1 is a 4. So are
okay,
you
so that makes sense. Yeah.
Are you a 4, or are you just really stressed out lately?
Yeah.
Or when you took the test, like, how stressed out were you?
Right. I think I was probably like, I took it at night. And now that you say that, I took it after like a 13-hour day. So I was probably like more 4. But I'm definitely 1, which is really hilarious that you talked about the 7 balancing out, because my boyfriend is definitely a 7. And that is 100% our relationship, like push and pull of like, okay, how far are we going to take this? Okay, maybe not. Like, let's like maybe let's not get into that much trouble.
Let's just like get to that line we shouldn't cross. Okay, let's take it back. Like that. Buddy gets to the line and goes.
I'm the one who's like, jump over it. Just jump over it. It's fine. It'll all work out.
That's so true. That's awesome though. That's such a fun relationship. So that will never end for you guys, because it's always gonna keep going like full circle. You guys are always gonna pay it forward for each other.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It makes so much sense after doing that. I was just like, yeah, this totally adds up. Like, I don't even need him to take it. Like, I don't even need him to take the test.
It's very easy to pin. They are probably like the ADHD of the Enneagram.
Yes.
Really good at starting things, but super bad at finishing. Yeah.
Makes me so happy. Okay, cool. That's really good stuff.
Are you competition or lifestyle?
So she's one of our new coaches for lifestyle.
Oh,
but I'm a competitor too. I do compete. So yeah.
That makes sense.
She's got all the experience.
Very cool. Love it. Is there any, so we have 2s, 1s, and was there only 1 9 here? Was there any other 9s? I love like the little mix.
So we don't have any 5s or 6s here, right?
No, probably not.
No growing 5 or 6s.
I would tell me the day you take on a 5, 6, or 7, because that'll be fun. That'll be interesting.
What?
I
mean, I think I have, but
They probably quit.
yeah, I don't know. I have to think about it. I'll get back to you.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, what else do we have?
I have a question now that,
Oops, sorry, Brittany, go ahead.
so that just made me think of a question. How she said one, her boyfriend is a 7, and then Casey earlier said that you were rubbing off on her, or one of you said that. So if you surround yourself by a certain people, if you surround yourself with all 8s or all 1s, or the majority is one of those, is it likely that your personality begins to change and evolve? Like, will your number change eventually? As you start to grow through those kinds of things.
Or where you're at, and if you want to be influenced by those people. So, if you surround yourself with healthy, if I surround myself with healthy 2s, that's very good for me to do because that is what I need more of in my life. But if I surround myself with unhealthy 2s or something like that, then that's something I don't want to be influenced by. So that's a matter of like, is this person that I want to be influenced by or not? So that's up to you. And that's, now that you say that, you're probably 100% a 4.
So I don't know if this is an 8 thing or not, but like for me, like I feel like I get along best with 2s and 8s. Like obviously you would think 8s would butt heads a lot, but since we think the same way, it actually works out because we know how each other functions like really well. Because we're very straightforward. It's very open, honest, like boom, it's right in your face.
Yeah.
And 8s are usually aware of that. So what I'm saying is I don't know if it's an 8 thing of me to say this or if it's a real thing, but I only surround myself with people that I click with the best. You know what I mean? Like surround myself a majority of my time spent with like 2s or 8s, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and that matters of what level of development you're in. So are you surrounding yourself with people that keep you in your comfort zone, or the opposite? And so you can surround yourself with unhealthy people thinking it's great because, I feel related to and relatable. And I always have such extreme examples, but like drug addicts, for example, they want to surround themselves with more drug addicts because that's their world and that's where they want to be. But it's so unhealthy, and, a growth point is like learning, who are these people that are around me? Is this good or bad? And it's just this whole thing. That's why I love the Enneagram, because it's constantly forcing me to ask myself questions. And, you learn a lot about the world around you. So, yeah.
That's something I never did was like ask myself questions. I was just if it like hit me, I just let it hit me and I fucking dealt with it. But now I really do ask myself questions. It's always like a huge pivot. Like if I take a step back and put myself outside of it and just let the reaction be hesitant for a minute, like don't react right away and actually think about stuff, like it's life-changing. It's crazy. But also too, like what I was saying, like what I was saying last time about it's like who you surround yourself with. I don't just like go out and I'm like, are you a 2? Okay, we're gonna be great friends. Like I don't do that.
This must be good. Like, wow.
Right. Like nobody's just like outside wearing like 2s and 8s on their shirts. Wouldn't that be way cool? But no. But it so happens that when I'm my most authentic self, I attract 2s and 8s, and then I'm also attracted to 2s and 8s. When I'm my most authentic, genuine, healthy self. So that's why my circle, my own personal circle, intimate circle is mostly 2s and 8s.
Yeah, when I first learned the Enneagram, I was in a big girls' night group and everyone started to become obsessed with it at the same time. And you kind of like, whenever I would go there, you kind of pocket off and like have conversations with certain people like all the time. And when I was learning, what everyone's number was, I'm like, I only really talk to the other 2s in this group. I was like, wow, everyone in my life is a 2. But yeah.
Right. Like, so like my work environment, like I'll hands down like 2s and 8s. But like, if I'm like looking for like a really good time, I'm like, bring me my 2s. Where my 2s at?
No, my version of that is 7s. Like if I'm looking for a good time right now, I talk to a 7, be like, what are you doing? They're like, yeah. Let's do it. Like, we're gonna jump off the globe. We're gonna jump off the table. Yes.
Sorry, Katelyn's always like this.
Yeah, no.
That's
Anyway.
why she's not allowed to sleep over. Never get any sleep. Oh, you've slept over? Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, good to know.
Whatever. We'll talk about this later off camera.
Uh-oh. But yeah, does anybody else have any questions? Like anything kind of like coming out into the air or anything you guys want to chat on?
I have a question. This is Shona. So are we born a certain Enneagram, or do our life experiences impact how we form our person? Obviously the impact is there, but it's interesting when you start connecting with this, it can be uncomfortable because you don't want to be labeled, right? So you're like, I don't label me as that. Or when you start reading it and like delving into, I was a 2-3-8, but I, sometimes get judged because I actually like confrontation. I get angry. I'm, stimulated by fear. And, so that part of my personality, people will go, God, you enter a room, a little rough around the edges. And then they'll say, oh, where are you from? And I'll go, well, I'm originally from New Jersey. Oh, that's why. And like, I'll say that even like my boyfriend, like, I don't think that my personality has anything to do with where I was born in New Jersey.
No.
Do you know, like, how people will judge you? Oh, you're not from around here. Because, sometimes maybe I'm bigger than they're uncomfortable with. You know what I'm saying?
So that's a really good point.
That's very eight of you. To be able to walk into a room and people find you intimidating, that's not your problem.
And they need to find a label to be like, oh, New Jersey, that's
to make themselves comfortable.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I probably get it. Like, I mean, I'm being dramatic by saying daily, but if I was out and about, it would be daily. And it's like, and I'm not really offended by it so much anymore, but why are you labeling New Jersey as my personality? Well, I think I would have been like this regardless of where I was conceived.
100%. So that brings up a really good point about like, a lot of people think, oh, your type is formed eventually or something at one point in your life. Like, so the thing you want to look at is like, nature versus nurture. So nature is the type that you are born with. And then nurture is how you relate to the world around you, how your world around you as you grew up and the influences that you have kind of shape, whether it was good experiences or bad experiences, but that the type helps you survive in the world.
Right.
So, yeah. So it doesn't matter where you were born. Like if put an accent on me, someone's going to think I'm from New Jersey. Like, yeah. So yeah, good point.
I don't recommend it. No, I'm just kidding.
I think it's hilarious. I love it.
Like you're from up north, you're like, yeah, like what about it? Like what is speaking to you right now?
Why? Like,
huh? Come on, me, bro. Do you want to take this outside?
Exactly. Here we go again.
Yeah, and that's the to touch on something else is like I will always ride home the point of like, you're not in a box. Like that's the best thing about this is that we all have the traits of every number. That's why one of the tests that I always give people, you rate a score in all the numbers and all the types, because we have all those things. It's just a matter of like, what's a good point? It's just a matter of like why you're doing it, and your type determines that. So yeah, good point.
Yeah, that's a really, like I said, that's a really big complimentary part to like being an A. It's like walking into a room, people like find you intimidating. Like for me, I can relate to that because I've literally been fired from jobs because I was too creative or intimidating.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I was doing everyone else's job.
I don't know how to handle you, so
you're right.
Get rid of you, and that's ultimately why I'm working for anyone.
Yeah, and then in the past I'll get like, boy, you're a lot, that type thing. And now it doesn't, as through therapy and as you start to develop and I'm a lot older than you guys. So at some point, I wish I had you all in my life in my 30s, because I would have like foregone so much,
Oh yeah.
on people's judgment and criticism, and, okay, I'm a lot. All right. I don't know really what that definition is, but
I know. Yeah.
it's not very clever for me when somebody says that,
Yeah, never stop being you're a lot or you're too much, because that's gonna be someone else's like perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's gonna be like that, whatever like you really make that connection with, that's gonna be like you guys is like perfect, and somebody's gonna love that about you. That's way more important than worrying about like the other smaller minds that have to put themselves in a position to make themselves more comfortable around you. That's crazy. Don't change.
Love it.
For yourself.
100%. Yeah. I would say that's why I talked about this before. I wish, like you said, I wish I knew this from the day I was born, because my life would have been so much easier, because
Yes.
I grew up in the church, and
I did too.
It's not great. It's not great. I mean, I still have my beliefs, but like people in the church just don't like, oh, be yourself, but not like that. That's why twos are, I'm always using twos as an example, but the church loves the twos because all they want to do is serve and help, and like, yeah, I want to do that, but like, what is God? And they're like, no, don't ask that question. Like, anyway, so like, as I was growing up, like, I'm just being my happy little loud self, and people would pull me aside and be like, hey, we need to talk about this thing that you did or said. I'm like, what are you talking about? I hurt somebody's feelings?
Yeah.
Never in my life do I intentionally want to do that, but I was constantly left and right, be getting pulled aside at work or at church or in my personal life, like, Katelynn, you really offended this person. I was like, what? I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, it's never my intention. Like, but then why did you do it? I'm like, so like, so it was like growing up, I just was constantly like suppressed, and like being a girl, especially as an 8, is very difficult, because it's like, don't, be quieter, be more helpful, don't be like that. And, being in a house full of men, it was, and my mom, bless her heart, she really smoothed out all my rough edges. Like, I don't know how she did it. But, it was always like, Katelynn, quiet, Katelynn, shush, Katelynn, I have a very loud laugh, and people go, oh, that pisses me off when someone tells me to be quiet while I'm laughing. Like, oh, talk about a switch, I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah, no, well, see, that's the thing though, like, because I know the way that she is, and like, she is her best self when she's like being really flamboyant with her emotions and her energy and stuff, and like really like bringing it out. Like, she like oh, your drums are gonna explode, but like I always provide her with that like emotional and mental nourishment to be that person, especially when she's in my home or like out or like whatever it is, like whatever. So, but that's because we have a good relationship, and like you do that same stuff for me. I'm just not you.
I know.
But, so like that's a good like healthy relationship. You should surround yourself with people that you can help elevate, rather than suppress.
So that is a good point in like understanding, the Enneagram is like when
I love purposely like getting her hyped like for no reason. Like, I love the build. It's amazing.
But like for people who like, let's use like, people who are in relationships right now, that it's a great way to, understand, oh, my 7 husband or boyfriend, like, in what ways do I need to give him his space to be himself? And like, that's exactly what 8s need, is like, 2s, that's why 2s and 8s are really great together, because they give me the space to be myself, and they give me that room. And so knowing, I am definitely with what I am. In my last relationship, he was a 5, and it took me forever to get him to take it, because he didn't want to be labeled, but I was like, I think I definitely know what you are. But I manipulated him into doing it, and all of a sudden he's obsessed with it. I'm like, told you so. But like knowing that, like I knew exactly where to give him his space, because that's just what he needs, and that's okay. And to be able to reciprocate that in relationships is very, very healthy. So yeah, I encourage any spouses or even family, it's very helpful.
Anybody that you really care about, Yeah, like go for it. Like even like your best friends, like just have them like take it, and you guys literally could probably dive into a conversation that'll last you for the rest of your lives.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's just it's really cool.
Yeah.
There's always like a nice root to it.
Mm-hmm.
You learn like more about their childhood. Cause like how many friends do you really know, like how they grew up and, you know, like their story, like, you know, like, cause her and I, like we clicked from the beginning and like, I still don't know like everything about her upbringing, but we talk about the Enneagram so much that we've been able to open up like cases of like really cool stories, like how we grew up just over random cups of coffee or bushwhackers or whatever it is, you know?
What number are you, Winnie? Sorry.
I really don't know.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No, they're distracting. Trust me. There's 45 of them. But yeah.
All right, what else?
Anybody else have anything else they want to add or talk about relationship wise or anything? Sam, do you know what Joe's is?
I want to say he's probably 99% a 6.
Okay.
That's funny.
I thought I saw him scurry a little while ago.
Want to make him take it when he gets up.
6.
Oh, okay, when he gets up.
Okay, that's not cool, man. So 6s are very hard to pin because they also battle that inner and outer world. They're called the loyalists. So they often get mistyped as a 2 or vice versa because they, you know, 2s and 6s need people around them, but there's completely different motivations. So 6s need people around them to support them, not in a selfish way. It can be in a selfish way, but they need people around them to feel supported. They're great at middle management because they can hold the hand of the underlings and they can hold the hand of the superiors and bring everything together. And they will definitely die for you for sure. But they're very anxiety ridden, and they will also, they also are pinned as people who are constantly looking at the negative. Like, why are you so negative? Why are you so negative? Why are you always thinking about the worst thing that can happen? Like, you want them in a crisis because they'll be like, this is exactly what's going to happen. And they'll probably be right. But yeah, have them take it.
Very just like one way, like this is how it is. Like I just see, I don't know, it's hard to explain. He's like always like calm, cool, and collected about everything, but he's just like anything you say, he's like, yeah, I don't know about that, or like it's always like a question, like, or like,
Yeah.
No, that doesn't make sense. No, I don't need that. No, I need that. Like just live life normal and not ever have any ups and downs. It's just straight all the time.
Yeah, very cool. Does anybody else know their spouses or somebody you're maybe not even in a relationship, but somebody you're close to? That makes sense.
Well, I was just going to say, I actually like just retook it really quick because after hearing everybody talking, I felt like, I don't know, I was like, I feel like maybe I'm something different. So I wanted to retake it. And the first time I took it, I was a 2, and I just retook it and it said I was a 6. And like, after you saying that, I feel like about the anxiety and like the negative, like literally like every day my boyfriend's always like, you need to stop being like so negative and like worried about stuff. So like I'm like, now I'm like, crap though, like I don't want to be like that, like that's like sad sounding, but I don't know.
So yeah, oh wow, I'm glad this happened because
Yeah, same. This is cool.
yeah, because 6s and 2s get mistyped as each other a lot. So like I said, 6s need people around them to feel supported and to be supported, while 2s need people around them to support those people because it satisfies a deep desire in their own self, right? So that's a great way to like, which lens do I have on? Do you know? What do you feel?
I don't know, like I feel like it does go back and forth, but I guess like if I had to say like the majority probably is that I do try to like seek people to like support me, but like I could see myself doing like the other way too.
Well, yeah, because you don't want to feel selfish or be selfish.
Yeah,
it's okay to have people around you to support you. Like that's okay. You're not.
And I get like really intense feelings of guilt actually because I feel like I'm being selfish about things. Like I think it was Gina earlier said that like she'll feel like selfish whenever she's like working out, and sometimes like I do feel like that too, and like it is like intensely like guilty feeling, which is like weird.
It's not
like
weird.
sad. Sorry, I feel like this is like so turned all sad.
No, this is good. Like that's the reason you're here. We want to be able to find out what these points are. They're not even necessarily weak points or anything like that. They're just you. That's what you're made up of. So you just figure out how to fight that resistance, whatever it is. Like, you know, now that you're aware of it, you can actually equip yourself with the right tools to start fighting that resistance.
Right. And if you're still confused about like, you know, what you are, another question to ask yourself is like, the first thing that I started talking about was the, you know, the head group, the heart group, and the instinctive group. So the 6 is in the head. So like, do you live your world up here or do you live your world right here? You know?
Yeah.
What is it that I do first in the situation? Do I act based on how I feel, or do I think it through and I analyze and I use my brain to make a decision? You know, not that that's a bad way, but everyone uses their brain to make a decision.
Right.
Where is it coming from? Like, am I doing this because I'm buying this thing because it makes me feel good, or I'm buying this thing because it's practical and I need it, and it, you know, yeah. So that's something to ask yourself.
Yeah, Carrie said she pulled a 6 too.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that. Like, I am a 2 by the majority, but I also can pull a 6, but I'm also a very, very horrific chronic overthinker. Like, I overanalyze everything, but then I'm super emotional about it. So is that the 6 coming out a little bit, or?
That's me too, for sure.
Yeah, you just have to ask yourself, you know, the motivations behind it. So if you're emotional behind it, I don't think a 6 would necessarily, I mean, everyone has emotions, but it's just like,
Do they control you like to the core?
Yeah.
What you're trying to say?
Yeah, it's just, it's such a hard thing to comprehend, because it's like, we've lost so much. I was actually going to post about this, and I totally didn't.
Well, you can
the understanding your instincts and like being in tune with your instincts, and that is very hard to do because we just lose touch with it. We're so affected by the world around us. Like, what is it that how am I making this decision? Is it based on how I feel? And like, yeah, I might be anxiety. Anybody can have anxiety, but what's the motivation behind it? Why do I have this anxiety? Is it because I feel all these feelings and I don't know what to do, and you know? So yeah, that's something we could definitely deep dive into that, but you can definitely deep dive into it and be like, wow, why am I doing this? Like, constantly asking yourself questions. So yeah, I'm not surprised that the 2s and 6s feel very similar. But
well, so the victim mindset is like an unhealthy 2, right?
Wait, what?
Like victim mindset is like unhealthy 2, right? Or is that like, because I mean, I've pulled myself, like, I feel like this is relatable to like making yourself the victim in order to make things make sense for yourself. Because I do that, but I do it in a different way. I do it as an 8. In my head, I go, I don't have a lot of time to waste. I have to fucking figure out the solution so I can move on from all my emotions and get back to my logical stuff. So I will literally drag myself to the bottom of the barrel as quick as I possibly can. Instead of trying to resist it the entire time, I will literally purposely cave myself to the bottom so I can start making my way out. But that's my victim mindset.
Yeah, it shows up differently for everyone, for sure. Yeah. I don't know about what it looks like for a 2, because I'm not a 2, but yeah, anybody can play victim, but yeah, it's just asking yourself questions of like,
so if you're feeling like you are like putting yourself in that victim mindset, like poor me, then now you know, like, okay, when those feelings come, like that is literally just an emotion that you're tanking, like literally like engulfing yourself in from whatever is going on. And you can be like, okay, you can take a step back, be more logical with yourself and be like, all right, why am I actually doing this? Is this something that I can literally just change the way I think about it and it's fixed? Or like, is it a real problem? What's the solution? You know, like kind of like that, right?
Yeah. It's just asking yourself questions. That's where you get your answers.
You just have to map it out.
Yeah.
And honestly, as soon as you like, it literally starts to like click. Like, you don't have to do this with yourself every time, because it seems really freaking time consuming to be like, okay, do I really feel this way? How do I want to feel? What's the consequence of this? What's the positive outcome of this? Like, that stuff just starts to come naturally the more you practice it.
Yeah.
And before you know it, like, you just start naturally doing stuff the way you wish you always would. And I mean, we all have our moments of weakness where we kind of retract back to our old ways, depending on what it is. depending on whatever trauma we had in our lives or whatever. But the fact is that you're able to access just that quick answer more naturally the more you practice it.
Yeah. I want to say something that's kind of funny. I've only met Carrie once, and I always knew that she was a 2. And you see a lot of 2s as nurses, and I was like, "Oh, you're a nurse, huh?" And I was like, "Are you?" I can't remember how I asked it, but I was like, "Which specialty are you?" Because I was like, I would not be surprised if it was like about with like babies and moms. And you're a NICU nurse, right? Yeah. And I was like, that makes so much sense.
That's actually very beautiful.
It really is.
Yeah.
Like those are the people in that profession that really, really rock it.
Yeah, man. Cool.
Who else was the nurse?
Gina.
Oh, fun. Cool. That makes sense.
Milatuski.
Yep. Anyway.
Where did you guys even come from?
They decided to show up. Anyway.
But yeah, so like I said, I hope that this session just kind of was able to bring some stuff up to the ground level for you guys and open your eyes to some things that you can just start to, kind of unveil and put pieces together, or even like remove from your life. It's kind of like almost like in the business world, you automate, delegate, eliminate. Like you can use your Enneagram number to help reshape your life into the more healthy version of who you are by doing that, and just simply by asking yourself questions and being honest with yourself at all times.
Yeah.
And just.
And it can be really hard to navigate. And that's, why I do what I do, is because I help you figure out which questions to ask yourself, and, help you navigate like, oh, this is healthy for me to do. And, oh, I never realized I did this emotion or this action out of this, this root cause. And it's just, so it can be hard to navigate and be like, where do I go? Where do I start? So like, that's why I do what I do. Yeah.
And so what we're going to do is I'm going to put all of Katelyn's information in the chat here, or actually I can send it to everybody that, let me see here. I don't know how to work this. What's your Instagram number? Name?
Middle name. Great.
Yeah. So that is her Instagram. If you guys want to find her there, if you haven't got her information off of Facebook. And I mean, she's always willing to like set up appointments with you guys and talk about your Enneagram, like help you through stuff. Like she's not a therapist, but honestly, that Enneagram stuff can be so like important to just kind of embrace and just know in order to, help you grow. And especially if you're an athlete or somebody that's trying to, just make a bigger impact on your life and the people that your family and things like that, to create a more healthy environment or understand people better, understand yourself better. Like,
yeah,
she's here for you, because she's literally changed my life. So
I'm gonna cry. No, I said that on purpose. No, I did. But yeah, just we can definitely have a conversation, and there's no commitment. You don't have to like commit to like 10 things or whatever. It's just have a conversation. That's all. But yeah.
okay. We love you guys. Thank you guys for showing up so much. I'm very, very happy to see that you guys, this was really, really important to me to be able to learn you guys a little bit. And then for you guys, so just to learn, kind of like who I am, like how I function, and how I'm always just, I'm all for you guys. That's just how I live my life. So
yeah,
I'm really glad that you guys came and spent the morning with us.
Yeah, this was so much fun. See you tomorrow. No, I was kidding. It'll be great.
But if you guys, again, like if you guys have any questions, seriously, you guys know where to find me, and now you know where to find Katelynn.
Yep.
Wait,
who has their cameras off? Just kidding.
No, it's okay. Wait, how do you get the, oh wait, you can't hide it. I'm an idiot.
Hide what?
All right, I'm gonna take a pic, y'all. Wait, how do we get Katelynn in here too?
I'll go like this.
1, 2, 3. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.